Hey guys, K420. I am back. And I got a couple videos for you coming up this week regarding the Kanika case. I did a video recently as some fans asked, you might be new, and so some subs asked me to reflect on a case that I covered a couple years ago, the Kanika Jenkins case. That's really my breakout on YouTube that year, and I no doubt that was where I put all of my time. When I say I was doing 6 to 7 to 8 hour lives, I was falling asleep on live. Um, and I went through the roller coaster of emotions that you go through when you first get involved in a case like that, right straight through to when false flaggers step in and try to destroy you as a human being. As you watch your community flourish, making money off videos about you rather than the case that originally started. So I did a quick update, and what I did was I wanted to do a very easy to follow video of the facts that led me to believe that whatever happened to this girl, it's not what they're telling us. I don't believe that the girl that we are shown is even dead. I'm not quite sure that she was ever even in that area to begin with. There was multiple things that could go on in that case. However, what I did get was amazing supportive comments and a few questions on how Kate, how can someone fake their death? How can someone fake their death for money? How can someone get up and walk away and make their families believe that something terrible happened to them, only to be found living a new life under a new identity in another country? And this is where you have to separate your emotions from these cases that you're coming across, getting all attached to on YouTube, because you want to know how. Do you want to know how people with the name the initials TM get away with things like this? They get away with things like this um, because no one would ever question a mother saying, "Yes, that's my child right there, dead. That's my child on this security." That a grieving mother, who would say, I think you're lying because that doesn't look anything like the kid that you showed the public. Who would do that? Uh, okay, so there's your first thing. And then second thing is to bring in all the protesting and the emotional, the emotional people who think that like they're related in some way. I don't, so on and so forth. But in honor of that case, Purple, let's move on to, if you would like to support my channel, since YouTube is never going to monetize this channel, regardless that I meet the subscriber and the view count requirements. The content I cover is obviously too controversial, and I swear like a sailor on a lot of days. Some days I'm good, some days I'm not. So if you'd like to support me, I have a PayPal and a Cash App. I'll try to stick it in the description. I use like a kindergarten video thing, and it doesn't really have all that. I have to go back through and do it. All right, guys, here we go. I don't really want to spend a lot of time. I'm not going to go over each one because there's so many. But I have some ones that I think are important, and some of them obviously are famous ones that have happened. There's a dead spy, the drowned MP, the lost canoeist, and people who fake death and why they do it. So this is March of last year, a little bit more recent, and there's let's see here. Russian journalist Arkady Babichenko faked his own death to expose a killer. But most people who take their deaths are running from something. Who fake their deaths are running from something. Even the master spy teller, John Le Carre, wouldn't have tried to get away with the plot line. On Tuesday this week, obituaries were being written for the Russian journalist Arkady Babichenko. Following Following official reports, he had been shot dead in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Babchenko had fiercely been critical of Vladimir Putin and his writings. There goes my YouTube again. Many around the world saw his death as another case of dissenting voice being silenced by Russian forces. However, 24 hours later, his apparent murder made global news, and there were audible gasps of shock and surprise when Babchenko was unveiled at the press conference by the Ukrainian police. Unlike Monty Python's famous parrot, he had certainly not ceased to be. Babchenko explained he staged his own death with the help of the authorities as part of a ruse to track down the people who had claimed they were trying to kill him. Such was the secrecy that not even his wife and children knew of the plan. Oh my God, they didn't even put his wife and kids thought he died. How serious did they? I guess they needed like a real reaction out of her, because that's who. If anybody was trying to kill him and he supposedly ended up dead, they'd be watching her. So they need to see that raw reaction. Like, still though, that's a lot. I'd be pissed. We're filing for divorce. Period. Over. I don't care if you're some national hero. Anyway, you couldn't trust me in my acting skills. One of the best known historical examples of someone faking their death was the curious case of the British MP and the junior cabinet minister John Stonehouse. November 20th of 1974, the MP left a pile of his clothes on a beach in Miami, giving the impression he had gone swimming and had drowned or been killed by sharks. Oh my God. If you faked your death and made people think that you were killed by sharks, that's terrible. Anyway, I'm just thinking about that. Like, oh yeah, Kate, your brother his clothes were found by the ocean and they had teeth tears in them as if killed by a shark. But I was enjoying the thought too much. So anyway, yeah, I have sibling issues. Don't ask. In reality, he was on his way to Australia to start a new life after running into serious financial and marital problems in the UK. Because of the story of the missing presumed drowned MP made front page news around the world, he was recognized by a bank teller in Australia, arrested and deported to Britain. He was sentenced to 7 years for fraud. All right, I'm going to skip this. This is just a U.S. Author, I think. Yep, Ken Kesey. All right, John Darwin. This is another one. This is a very famous one, guys. I read about this in about 3 different papers. So, British prison officer John Darwin paddled out to sea in his canoe on the east coast of England in 2002 and became the subject of a massive sea and land search after not returning. When the wreckage of his canoe was found days later, he was presumed dead. Though in serious debt after buying 2 houses for the rental market, and had decided that the only way out of his difficulties was to fake his own death, so his wife could collect the insurance policy. There we go. Starting with this finance. This is where I'm saying. This is where they plot together. Now it may start as 2, like, I don't know, a couple that gets together and creates personal injury motor vehicle cases with another member of their family and her husband at the time, who she ends up dating later on. Anywho, it happened. It's called a conspiracy. The couple's plan fell apart under questioning as they were both sent. Oh, excuse me. The couple decided. I skipped a whole part. The couple decided to move permanently to Panama. There were problems, though, acquiring visas for their new life. Darwin flew back to London and presented himself to a police station. Can you imagine being so pissed off at your new life after you already faked your own death that you would literally go back, turn yourself into the police station in hopes of repairing the new life because your old life, because your new life had turned into such shit? Wow. Those are some sad stories. All right, guys, I'm going to skip on. I'm going to come back to this other one. Hang on. I want to go here. Go there. Nope, this one. Sorry. I hope the camera doesn't go there. It's going to. Hold on. Give me a minute, guys. The camera is such a pain in the butt. I should have just let it go there. Hopefully it will. Anyway, this couple that faked their pregnancy. Let me let this load there. Now go back. She faked the pregnancy, she faked the birth, and she faked the death of her baby to get the gifts and the money, say the police. Okay. I don't know if there we go. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh, it's gotta finish loading. Come on. Be patient. I'm sorry. I always do that. Here we go. There's the freeze frame. Freeze frame. Couple faked pregnancy, birth, death, and cremation. This was like in Pennsylvania, guys. This isn't that far from me. I know that because I saw it on my news a lot. So if it ever loads again, cross your fingers. There we go. A couple, Pennsylvania created a fake narrative about a birth and death of their child so they could obtain gifts and money, police have said. I don't know where the camera is, and I don't care. The elaborate hoax was cooked up by Jeffrey and Casey Lang, who announced a fake pregnancy and even held a baby shower at a friend's house. The couple from the town of Somerset said their baby boy Easton was born on July 3rd. Oh, sorry. There we go. And however, posted images of their purported child on social media. However, police say the images were of a lifelike doll. Have you guys seen those silicone dolls? I'm telling you, there's a girl on here on YouTube that's always selling them. That I don't know, she might be skeezing too, but anyway, she be seeming like one of them girls that would use that as a baby. Anywho, the couple who then faked the child's death, which they claimed was due to respiratory distress syndrome a few hours after his birth. A friend came over and told police the couple had fabricated the whole pregnancy. Oh, God. State police did some digging, found there were no hospital records of the birth, no medical history of a child or the mother. In addition, the funeral home where the couple claimed to have the child cremated said they had no dealings with the couple. Police searched Lang's home and found a lifelike baby doll and a personalized urn with the name Easton Walt Lang on it. Those are some crazy mother effers. Okay, you got a personalized urn so that your GoFundMe account, the couple had created a GoFundMe account to help pay for funeral expenses and had raised $550. I bet you they bought a $19 urn and kept the other $530. GoFundMe has a zero tolerance policy, so they took it. All donors are fully protected by the GoFundMe guarantee. So in March, okay, I'm not going to keep going because this just goes on to about another pregnancy that got faked on GoFundMe. Okay, so now back to this one. There we go. Should load my face now. There we go. Olivia NewtonJohn. I don't know if you're my age or if this is going to show my age. Olivia NewtonJohn. She's a little bit. She has me on a few years, obviously, but I remember as a young teenager, maybe not quite a teenager, watching her play the character on Grease. She was the blonde. Is it Sandy, Sally? So, no, that's the brunette. See how long it's been? But she played the blonde. Olivia Newton-John's former boyfriend was but was found in Mexico after going missing 12 years ago. You know, and I at first thought maybe when this all played out the way it did, guys, I honestly thought maybe she had something to do with it. Give me 1 second. Oh, it's cold in here. It's got a nice breeze. Okay. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I thought she had something to do with it. I really did. Bless her heart. But after years and years of seeing her be interviewed about it, seeing her go through the having to have him presumed dead and all that, she didn't. It was pain. It was real pain. She was really grieving. She really didn't. She wanted answers. I believe she's the one that might have paid for the private detective, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So, without further ado, the former boyfriend of Olivia Newton-John has reportedly been discovered after going missing 12 years ago. Patrick McDermott, an American cameraman of Korean descent who was an on and off boyfriend of Olivia Newton-John, is alive and well in a small town in Mexico, according to New Idea. Mr. McDermott disappeared in 2005 while on a fishing trip. The then 48-year-old set off on a fishing boat Freedom from San Pedro Marina on June 30th. but mysteriously disappeared with personal items, including his wallet, left aboard. And that's it. When you read about these fake deaths, people, you all doing too much. That's how you get caught. When you be leaving your wallet with every form of picture ID, your birth certificate, and your social security card, and a copy of your will, they know. There's like a profile for people who fake their deaths. So if you're smart, you don't, I mean, some people think, oh, well, if I take all of my ID and my if I got my passport and this, that, and third, then they'll think they'll know I fake my death because they think I'm trying to. Why would you be trying to keep your IDs? If you faked your death, um, you wouldn't use the same ID anyway. So you leaving it there unseen in that big pile of crap like you do only makes you look more guilty, according to all the stuff I've read anyway. Okie dokie. So while the U.S. Coast Guard investigation, while a U.S. Coast Guard investigation released in November of 2008 concluded he most likely had drowned, this is where I saw a lot of pain in her eyes. Oh, here she is, Olivia NewtonJohn. There you go. It says the circumstances around his disappearance triggered speculation that he faked his own death. In 2009, investigators on Dateline claimed Mr. McDermott disappeared to avoid his debts, including $8,000 he owed. You faked your death for $8,000, yo. Okay. I don't judge. Well, I judge, but I'm not going to judge. I'm trying hard not to judge. You faked your own death for $8,000. Oh my God. You gotta debate about, you gotta get a better deal next time. He allegedly owed, oh, it was an ex. So this was really a pride thing, guys. He owed $8,000 in child support. So you know how that all goes down. That's not even so much about the money. That's a whole bitch, I'm not giving you my money thing. What does the kid need? Give me a list of $8,000 worth of stuff and I will go out and buy it. But bitch, I am not putting the money in your hand. That's all that's about. But anyway, they later believe he was living in a boat off the west coast of Mexico. New Idea, a long-running Australian magazine, has now claimed as evidence Mr. McDermott is alive and receiving photos by U.S. media agency Coleman and Reina, which show a man who matches the description in the Mexican Sun alongside, oh, is that him? Oh, wow. Alongside a woman. Okay. The widow's peak is exact. The eyes are very similar, and the ears extend on the head the exact same, or that had the same difference. I believe it's him. The private detective told. Oh, excuse me. Charlie Parker told the magazine. He claimed that the individual in the photograph was 90% matched to Mr. McDermott. In March of 2016, Mr. McDermott, who has appeared on America's Most Wanted, was reported to be having found living in Mexico with his German girlfriend, NewtonJohn, who played the lead role in Sandy. I was right, yo. All right, so anyway, in the cult 1978 film, Grease has previously expressed grief of her former boyfriend's disappearance, which is what I was seeing. Like, people really wanted to pin this, like, make her a part of it. But in reality, I believe she was just as much a victim as many of his kid. I mean, his kid, obviously, he had a kid that he owed the ex-wife child support to that he played dead to. You remember that? So, yeah. Okay, guys, next. Oh, this one. Here we go. This is where people ask me, well, Kate, if it's not real, whose body's in the freezer, Kate? Okay, let's talk about people who really think about faking their death through a lot. Like, they go to the point where they're like, I need to make sure that there's no doubt in anybody's mind that I'm dead. Because a lot of times the disappearing thing, that always leaves doubt. There's always doubt when somebody disappears and then they have to be declared dead just because they haven't been spotted, basically, or here they haven't come out. They could have amnesia and forgot who they were. So a body always makes people feel like they have closure. Sorry. So, okay. Man who used corpse to fake his own death. he pled guilty. In 2011, a decomposing body was found on the side of a dirt road in Moldova. The man was carrying Igor here we go. Vorotinov, Igor Vorotinov, his passport and other identifying documents. And soon his ex-wife, Irina, traveling from Maple Grove, Minnesota to Moldova to identify the body as that of her ex. A funeral was held for the Minnesota man back in the U.S. Irina cashed in on a $2 million life insurance policy. Stop and listen again. Igor Volotinov and Irina, both of Moldova, somehow ended up in Maple Grove, Minnesota, with a $2 million life insurance policy out of Maple Grove, Minnesota. And this is where I get about this is where I'm talking about sometimes I don't believe people to understand that these this is not anything other than, I'm not saying foreigners, sometimes these fake incidents, these insurance scams come from foreigners who literally only come over here to file these scams and then go back home. Or sometimes they don't even have to step foot on the U.S. soil to go through these scams, as long as they were married to someone whose death they can fake. Because some religions have policies where the body must be put out to sea within 24 hours or cremated and within 24 hours, all these things. So as long as you can prove that your loved one was of that religion and whatever and nationality, the United States can't, our insurance companies can't fight that. The body's the body. It's gone. Sorry. Okay. So, a funeral was held for the Minnesota man back in the U.S. while Irina cashed in on a $2 million life insurance policy the following year. One of the couple's two grown sons was visiting a family friend in Moldova when he ran into his father, very much alive. How does that happen where one of the couple's kids end up going back to Moldova and visiting a friend? And that, wow, can you imagine being that son? But like a good loyal son, I bet you he does not tell. Anyway, so his dad was very much alive, but using a fake name. He didn't tell authorities, but in 2013, another tipster did. U.S. Customs and Border Protection detained the son. Go back. Detained the son and the fiance. Is that what it says? Yep. After one of their trips to Moldova. After years of investigating and searching for Vorotinov, he was arrested in Moldova last year, extradited to the U.S., and on Friday, the 54-year-old pled guilty in federal court in the says the Washington Post. Prosecutors want a 41-month prison sentence. When Vorotinov is sentenced in July, Irina, 52, will be sentenced to 37 months in prison after pleading guilty in 2016. Authorities say she was in on the scheme all along, staged a sham funeral, intending to split the life insurance money with her ex, and the 29-year-old son pled guilty in 2015 to not reporting the scheme once he uncovered it. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation. We really know, we now know that there really was a body found in a field in Moldova. The government executed a search warrant on the urn in the Lakewood Cemetery, and it contained human remains. Federal prosecutors wrote in court documents alleging that Moldovan officials, police, morgue employees, and the medical examiner were all in on the scheme. Irina had the body cremated in Moldova, says the reports, right? So it says the prosecutors have not revealed how the Voratinovs procured a dead body on which to plant Igor's ID, or because they don't want to say we killed a homeless guy. They're trying to act like maybe that somebody from the hospital snuck them a body. No, what happened was they needed this quick, fast, and in a hurry, and they were desperate, and it was a $2 million life insurance policy. So knocking somebody else off that nobody would miss because they might live a style of life that you don't agree with. I don't know, maybe where have I heard that one before? Anyway, that case was, it just kind of has little connections everywhere, doesn't it? Anyhow, they it says that they haven't revealed how they found, well, or how they chose a body. So I'm sure once he pleads, it's going to be part of his sentencing, is letting them know where he got the body. So one more, I want to talk to you about this. This is pretty much the biggest part right here. Because when we're talking about me doing the Jenkins case, there's a $50 million lawsuit at hand. And the weird thing keeps happening is people keep dropping dead around that case. And it makes me nervous. This was the first article I came across while researching this week. Look at the date, guys. 4 days before that girl's death, this article came out. Death. 4 days before the incident went down. Playing a risky game. People who fake their death for big money. What was the date on that ticket again? For the Crown Plaza? The one that was found in Mom's car? Oh, that's right. September 6th, the next day after this article came out. I just think it's ironic, that's all. So, hang on. I gotta get past this thing. Here we go. Have you ever wondered about cashing in on life insurance without actually dying in the process? Industry experts say plenty of people try it. Exactly how many is hard to say, because of course insurance companies they don't keep data on people who fake their deaths, because they don't want the public to go, holy cow, a lot of people do that. I wonder how many get away with it. It would become more and more and more prevalent, just like the motor vehicle personal injury lawsuits have become, because they're so easily settled. So Elizabeth Greenwood is the author of Playing Dead, A Journey Through the World of Death Fraud. She estimates about several hundred such cases a year. In 2016, the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud, CAIF, conducted a survey in which several insurance companies were asked if faking a death problem was slight, moderate, or severe. Fake death fell into the moderate category. So it's not like there's not like serial faking death going on, but it's not something that's like rare. It happens, and it happens a lot because of money. So it says we're seeing a fair number of them, Jay said. It happens more than the insurance companies are comfortable admitting. Steve Rambaum, the director of the investigative agency Palorium Inc., who says he's investigated hundreds of such cases in his decades-long career. They don't want to give anybody any ideas, he says. So tracking mysterious deaths, because life insurance payouts can amount to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and even a few fraudulent claims can have a financial impact on the insurance company. So when policy holders die mysteriously, carriers typically hire investigators to look into it. You didn't know that, did you? Even if it's not like homicide, or if it's a suicide, if it's could natural causes, but the situation seems odd, or if it's just a case where there's a lot of money involved in the policy, the insurance companies have like private detectives on contract, and they send them out to actually look deeper into these cases without the family really knowing anything about it, unless they have to involve. So often these suspicious deaths involve U.S. residents, occur in underdeveloped countries where fraudulent death certificates are more easily obtained. Perhaps even more difficult for the fraudsters than faking the death is staying out of sight. That seemed to be somebody else's problem too, because a lot of people, I keep coming across these blogs where right in the beginning especially, but more so random throughout that very first year, there was many sightings of Kanika, or girls that looked like her, girls that, some people who swear on everything that it was her. They actually had an entire page for a minute. I don't know. That was one of the first purges that came down. Anyway. So in policy, okay, often, okay, here it is. Here it is. Unless they cut ties with everyone they know and care about, they risk detection by the life insurance investigators. Not everyone's capable of doing that. The lure of friends and family often proves too strong to resist. The biggest question is, can you really walk away from everyone and everything in your life? Fake death as a cottage industry. Another common variation of life insurance scams surfaced in the 1990s and early 2000s. Um, Says those cases often involve recent immigrants to the US. This is where I was talking about, guys. Listen up. I wasn't being bigoted. I hope you're still here. Thank you. Who committed life insurance fraud with the help of friends and relatives in their countries of origin. They would buy life insurance, go back home, stage their own accident. It was so bad, there are entities out there selling death kits, showing how to get your own death certificate. In parts of Asia and South America, officials could be bribed to produce paperwork to document a staged death. The families of the insured would sometimes present insurance companies with video recordings of funeral marches as evidence that a death had occurred, DeMar said. In such cases, there often isn't a body available to enable investigators to confirm the identity of the deceased. Sometimes insurers are told the body was cremated immediately following the death. Another ruse is saying that the deceased died at sea. Some investigations I've handled for insurance companies or families involve persons on vacation who slipped and fell into the ocean, and there was no trace of anything. That's another one I find a lot of crap on. A lot of couples pull that one because they get into debt and they're trying to get out. Anyway, once investigators are on the case, they use every tool to determine what happened. One thing they look for is motive. They look for is a motive for insurance fraud. Often people disappear to avoid criminal prosecution or to escape debts. If someone dies a few months after taking out a large life insurance policy, it raises a big red flag, which some people are kind of and when you have a history of multiple lawsuits, you already raise a big red flag. So this would be another big red flag, which is why I find it funny that this case was there wasn't an insurance policy. It was a lawsuit. Okay. And in the case that we're talking about before with Jenkins, the $50 million lawsuit, there was no insurance policy for her to commit fraud against in that particular case. Okay. The difficult art of invisibility. Disappearing involves more than staying and hiding. It usually means acquiring fraudulent identification in order to find a new job, rent or buy a home, or open a bank account under a new name. After faking death, the deceased can never contact old friends, visit the places where they once lived without risking capture. That means never attending another birthday party, graduation, or wedding anniversary with friends and family. When perpetrators are caught, they often end up serving jail time for the fraud, plus the crimes they committed in the process of creating their new life. That sucks. If you get caught, you'll go to prison. It generally is up to the state attorney whether he is going to prosecute, but you're definitely going to be subject to criminal prosecution. Really quick, last one example of life insurance fraud that ultimately failed is the case of Jose Lantigua, a 63-year-old Jacksonville, Floridian businessman who faked his death in Venezuela to escape financial problems. The Florida Times Union reported that his family had attempted to collect a $6.6 million life insurance policy. Lantigua had disappeared in 2013 during a trip to South America. He reportedly told associates he was traveling there to receive treatment for a brain infection. When he was arrested, he was living under an assumed name in North Carolina, home owned by his wife. Lantigua was sentenced in February 2017 to 14 years in prison. for several crimes, including bank fraud and identity theft. His wife was placed on probation for conspiring to convince people that Lantigua was dead. There's no way to know how many people are living in hiding after faking their own deaths, Greenwood said. It's like being in witness protection program without the support of law enforcement agencies. You are on your own and very much alone. The person you were no longer exists. If you successfully fake your own death, you're just considered dead. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed everything today. If you like my video, press the like button, share it. If you want to support my channel, again, here's my PayPal, my Cash App. We're going to do a couple different videos this week regarding other similar cases that I feel could explain what happened in the Jenkins case. Not, there's other things than the fake death. We're going to do a night on sex trafficking, and I'm thinking about doing it live. It depends on what the answer I get back from YouTube. How about that? I don't want to be live on my very first live back and have YouTube cut my live, since most of you know that I was the very first person that YouTube used their new ability to cut lives. It was me live about bombshell information regarding the Kanika Jenkins case, where YouTube caught my live feed, and I was the very first one. And I mentioned that this was going to be, it was going to be downhill from here. So I'm going to be going live. I'll let you know soon what day, but check back in the rest of the week and enjoy yourself.